What is up guys, Rickackis here, and in today's video we're going over the difference between normal mode raid gear and hard mode raid gear for the King's Fall raid. Now the reason I'm doing this video is because there's been a lot of misinformation about these two different drops, and I really wanted to clear everything out. So without further ado, let's get started. Normal mode raid gear can spawn from a light of 300 to 310, and it only drops from the raid on normal. That sounds kind of simple, but it's also true for the other raid gear. Hard mode or Harrowed raid gear can only spawn from 310 light to 320 light, and it's only dropped from the hard mode raid. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute, I've got normal mode gear when I do the hard mode raid. Now, that's true, but that's only because of the double drop mechanic. When you're doing hard mode raid, when you're doing King's Fall hard, for the first time that week, for a certain character, you will get your normal mode drops at the same time. Now don't confuse this. This isn't your drops from hard mode. You're essentially getting the drops from normal mode at the same time. But these are still two totally different loot pools. If you do the normal mode raid first, and then in the same week do the hard mode raid with the same character, when you're doing that hard mode raid, it is impossible to get normal mode drops. So don't mistake those things. If you're doing it and you're getting the double drops, those are, again, think of it as completing two raids at once in two totally separate loot pools. Now it's very easy to see what you've gotten from normal mode and from hard mode when you get, let's say, an armor piece. You can see that you got the Harrowed armor piece, and maybe you even get the normal armor piece at the same time. Again, it's very easy to tell the difference between the two. Some confusion arises, however, when we have gear like the Ghost Shell, the Kingslayer Shell. Now the reason there's some confusion about the Ghost Shell specifically is that every other raid loot drop has two different names, one for hard mode, one for normal mode. Now the armor and weapons just have the word Harrowed in them and they have a different appearance, but for the shell, both normal mode and hard mode are called the Kingslayer Shell, and they look completely identical. They have the same perks as well. The only difference is that the normal mode version is again 300 to 310, and the hard mode version is 310 to 320. Now again, there's a lot of confusion because they look and appear and have the same exact name as the two versions. But don't be mistaken, there is basically a hard mode version and a completely separate normal mode version. You cannot get one below 310 light for doing hard mode, and you cannot get one above 310 light for doing normal mode. I see a lot of confusion and a lot of misinformation, in comments and stuff about the Ghost Shell, but don't be mistaken, these are two separate items for the two different modes. Now let's talk about the weapons. What is the difference between a normal raid weapon and a Harrowed raid weapon? Well, you can see right here I have a normal raid hand cannon and a Harrowed raid hand cannon, and there is some differences. Firstly, in appearance. The Harrowed version looks different and again spawns with a higher light. In terms of statistics and perks, these two weapons are exactly the same. Now, that might be a little bit confusing because you can see that my Harrowed version and my normal version have two different perks in the last perk slot. That's because all of the raid weapons, the last perk is a little bit randomized. You can get a few different perks in this slot. Harrowed weapons continue this trend. So you can get a Harrowed weapon that has a different perk than your normal version. However, that same perk can also be acquired in the normal version. So the normal and Harrowed versions simply continue the trend of having a semi-randomized perk in the last perk slot. Harrowed versions cannot get any perks that you can't also get on the normal version. I see this misinformation a lot as well. Now let's move on to armor. What are the differences between normal raid armor and Harrowed raid armor? Well, you can see here I'm comparing several different chest plates. I actually have two different Harrowed chest plates and a single normal mode chest plate. Now the armor is essentially the same as the weapons. The only difference between Harrowed armor is that they spawn from 310 to 320 light and they have a different appearance. And again, they can spawn with different perks than, let's say, a random normal mode chest piece than you have, but they don't spawn with any perks that are impossible to get on the normal mode versions. They all kind of have the same semi-randomization of perks. You can see that all three of my different chest pieces have different perks from one another. And the last piece of misinformation I wanted to clear up is with class armor. Now, class armor, for whatever reason, they didn't just put the word Harrowed in front of the class armor name for normal mode. The hard mode version is called something completely different. So I've heard a lot of people ask me, how did you get that class item? Like, how did you get that to spawn? Because sometimes they don't realize that it's just the hard mode version. Because again, they're expecting the word Harrowed in the name. But again, it's not. It's just two completely differently named items, although again, one's from hard mode, one's from normal mode. The only difference is the light level and the appearance. Now that's it for the differences between normal and hard mode raid gear, and it begs the question, what do you guys think about that? Because again, the only real difference is the appearance and the light level. Do you guys think that's enough, or should Bungie have gone the extra mile and had some differentiated perks, maybe some different perk layouts to really distinguish hard mode gear? Or is simply making a higher light, definitely cooler looking gear good enough? I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to rate and share this video. Now, if you want to see more Destiny content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Off in the corner, I've selected 2 more videos that you may enjoy. Now, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description of this video, as is my Twitch, which you can follow as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.